Photography has shaped society, influencing the public's thoughts on racism, and one of those ways is the use of blackface. Blackface has been a form of entertainment since the 1800s where non-black people wear makeup to portray a caricature of a black person, not just physically but verbally as well. Many people have wondered if blackface was either a satirical or a stereotypical way of entertaining people. When something is satirical, it means that something or someone is criticized in a humorous or playful way. Stereotypes are overlooked ideas or beliefs of something that is often untrue or mistaken, which could lead to racism. And blackface often showed negative stereotypes about African Americans being lazy, ignorant, or criminal. Blackface has shifted from a satirical form of entertainment to a stereotypical form of racism. In the 1830s, shows that incorporated blackface performances known as minstrel shows comically portrays racial stereotypes of African Americans. The first form of blackface was created in 1830 by an American performer and playwright named Thomas Dartmouth Rice, known as the father of American minstrelsy. He came up with the first blackface character named Jim Crow, which expanded the popularity of minstrel shows. In the photo engraving titled Jim Crow, created in 1836 by American photographer Orlando Hodgson, it depicts the character persona of Jim Crow as an African American caricature dancing in blackface. It is significant because it applies to the Jim Crow laws which were enacted after the Civil War, which legalized racial segregation. In 1845, the minstrel show's popularity grew into presenting the idea of blackface in novels and stories. In the article Twisting Ourselves into All Shapes, Blackface Minstrelsy and Comic Performance in Harriet Wilson's Our N-Word, or Sketches from the Life of a Free Black by Harriet Wilson, author Elizabeth Boyle argues that the jokes presented in the novels showcase a skillful and comedic approach that utilizes the exceptional body's capacity for rebellious demonstration and challenges the circumstances of social and political marginalization faced by African Americans in the era before the Civil War. Boyle states that one of Wilson's methods, quote, demonstrates the importance of action, costume, and material props rather than the realism and the defamiliarization process, end quote. Defamiliarization means to present to audiences common things in an unfamiliar or strange way so they could gain new perspectives and see the world differently. Boyle's statement means that blackface in Wilson's novel is defamiliarizing the character of African Americans since blackface exaggerates the idea of who they really are. Another new idea was having children perform in minstrel shows for entertainment. In 1895, American photographer James Bartlett Rich took a group photo of 9 children in a house foyer in Philadelphia costumed in black makeup holding tin horns. It is a photo made from a gelatin silver print. One of the first actors to perform blackface in the vaudevillian era was a Bahamian American-born actor named Burt Williams. While he was a black actor, he still performed blackface in the vaudeville era in the early 1900s. In the black and white portrait photo titled Publicity Portrait of Entertainer Burt Williams in Blackface, it shows Williams performing with heavy black makeup on. The photograph was taken in 1915 by American photographer John D. Kitch with a gelatin silver print. Minstrel shows then evolved to the big screen. One of the first actors to perform blackface in film was American actor Walter Long. In the year 1915, he performed blackface in the silent drama film titled The Birth of a Nation. In the photo titled Klansman surrounding Freedman Gus, played by white actor Walter Long in blackface in a scene The Birth of a Nation, it was taken in 1915 as a gelatin silver print. It depicts Long portraying the main character of Gus, who is an African-American slave and gets surrounded by members of the KKK. Another significant actor was a Lithuanian-American-born Jew named Al Jolson, who is considered the world's greatest entertainer of the 1920s. He was the star of the 1927 musical film called The Jazz Singer. In this photograph taken by American photographer Billy Rose titled Al Jolson, it shows Jolson performing the song Mammy in the Jazz Singer film. It is considered the first talking picture produced in the United States. All 3 of these performances are similar because they are considered satirical ways of performing blackface. Blackface did not just become big on the big screen, but on big in television as well. An example of TV blackface was from American actor and comedian Charles Jim Cornell, known for playing the character of Andy Brown in the 1928 radio and sitcom TV series titled Amos and Andy. A black and white portrait photo created on September 26, 1972, depicted Charles Jim Cornell as African-American Andy Brown with a cigarette in his mouth. The popularity of blackface decreased in the 1930s and through the civil rights movement in the 1950s and 60s. However, people depicting the stereotypes of African Americans have continued. Near the end of the 20th century, blackface continued to be featured in the movies. In 1986, American actor C. Thomas Howell starred in a comedy film called Soul Man, where he wore dark makeup in order to play a young African American. The film was widely criticized and surrounded in controversy. In a New York Times article titled Soul Man Called Racist by Black Law Students, the author claims that African American students from Harvard University denounced the motion picture as racist and insulting. As the 21st century continued, more actors continued to play in blackface. One of the most iconic performances of the 21st century with blackface was with American actor Robert Downey Jr. in the 2008 action comedy film Tropic Thunder. He played an Australian actor, Kirk Lazarus, who played the character of African American Staff Sergeant Lincoln Osiris, earning him an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. The intention was a satirical way of performing blackface. Downey Jr. is playing an actor making fun of the idea of going through surgical procedures to comically portray an African American stereotype. The director of the film, Ben Stiller, was interviewed in regards to the film, and specifically Downey Jr.'s character. In the interview and an article posted on independent.co.uk, Author Tom Murray states that on February 21st, 2023, Stiller stated on his Twitter that he makes no apologies for Tropic Thunder. Blackface has now evolved to be a significant part of social media. In the article El Negro de WhatsApp, Meme, Digital Blackface, and Racism on Social Media, author Ariadna Matamoros Fernandez explores the idea and ways of how social media embodies structural racism. In 2018, a photo was taken that shows an African-American man wearing a plaid hat, a teal towel, posing partially nude after going mushroom hunting. Fernandez states that she is, quote, showing how everyday socio-technical practices on this platform perpetuate power hierarchies based on race, end quote. Based on her quote, Fernandez is trying to show how much a meme like this or how any social media platform is powerful enough to showcase their views and how certain groups such as African Americans have less power than other groups like white Americans. In the 2022 article, Humor That Harms, Examining Racist Audio-Visual Memetic Media on TikTok During COVID-19, authors Ariadna Matamoros Fernandez, Alicia Rodriguez, and Patrick Wickstrom state that consistently undervaluing humor that perpetuates negative stereotypes of communities have been historically marginalized by the public. The authors make an example that, quote, in 2020, Facebook included blackface parodies and other common racist stereotypes in its hate speech policies. We can see that it is effectively proving the article's opening statement that saying that humor is the act of making a mockery of seriousness and which is central to social life. Humor with racist stereotypes or hate speech policies show that the public feels no empathy or remorse like they did in the past when groups like African Americans were being marginalized.